Tonight, our region's GP is preparing to roll out the COVID-19 vaccine, but some are critical of the system. And questions raised over mobile black spot funding.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, an investigation has been launched following the death of a man in Broken Hill this morning. Police saying he suffered a medical episode shortly after running from officers. Our reporter Lachlan Etta has the details.
There was a strong police presence here on Silver Street for much of the day as officers investigate exactly what led to this tragic outcome. Police attended the home near the corner of Beryl Street just after 8 o'clock this morning. A short time later, police patrols were alerted to a man suffering a medical episode nearby. Officers began performing CPR on him, also calling paramedics. New South Wales Ambulance treated him at the scene before he was transported by them to Broken Hill Hospital. It was there that he was sadly pronounced dead. The critical incident team has launched an investigation with officers making their way to Broken Hill from Burke. In a statement, they say they'll look at all circumstances surrounding the incident, with the investigation to be the subject of an independent review. The findings will then be passed on to the coroner, who will ultimately determine what caused the man's death and exactly what happened in the moments leading up to it. Police are asking anyone who may have witnessed the incident this morning to contact Crime Stoppers.
GP clinics across the region are gearing up for Phase 1B of the COVID vaccination rollout. Set to commence on Monday, doctors are encouraging those who are eligible to roll up their sleeves, saying it's one step towards getting back to normality.
It's time to roll up your sleeves. Medical clinics across the region making final preparations for the AstraZeneca vaccine rollout.
Yeah, we're totally prepared and ready to go. You know, we're in the immunisation clinic here now. We're all set up. We're just waiting for immunisations to arrive tomorrow, and we're really looking forward to it, getting it going.
From Monday, anyone over 70, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people over 55, over 18s with underlying medical conditions, healthcare workers and critical and high-risk workers will be eligible for the jab.
We're excited to start it. We just can't wait to get through all the phases, but just so we can get back to a normal life, really. So it'll be good.
With this clinic receiving 160 doses in the first week, staff say they have already received a number of inquiries.
Booking systems are just about to come online, so they will either today or tomorrow. So I think we'll have a lot of inquiry next week.
The Port Augusta Respiratory Clinic, located here at Pickaware Health Service, is one of 6 across the region preparing for the rollout, with those eligible encouraged to book an appointment.
We're all on a long journey together. I can understand people's anxieties. We can all understand that. We're all on a journey, and we're going to finish this journey, and this is the start of the end. So if you can come out and get your immunisation, that's the way to go.
More information can be found online. Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Meanwhile, confusion is mounting in other parts of the region, with some clinics saying they were caught off guard by yesterday's announcement. Streaky Bay's clinic admitting it has no set date on when it will roll out the vaccine.
What was meant to be a smooth rollout has proven to be anything but.
We haven't had really good information about how things were going to happen.
The federal government publishing online yesterday hundreds of clinics taking part in the 1B vaccine rollout, but teething problems with the system saw some medical centres left off the list.
It doesn't come up with us on it at all, and we're not sure why.
While other clinics were caught off guard.
We were a bit surprised to find out that we were the only clinic on the Eyre Peninsula that had actually registered.
Streaky Bay's clinic says it's been inundated with calls from across the region, with people trying to make appointments. Staff forced to turn some away.
Facing a bit of a process where we might have a few phone calls coming in and not be able to deliver the service.
The clinic says it's still unsure when it will even begin the rollout, with only one doctor to service the area.
We're sort of still trying to juggle our books and work out with our doctors and our staff when we can do this.
Kadeena's clinic received its first 800 doses this morning and says it will be ready to administer the jab to staff next week and the public within a fortnight.
We estimate in our own practice we've got about 3,000 people that meet the criteria for 1B, and it will take time to get through them. They can't all have it on day one.
So I've advised that they contact their normal GP clinic and just ask, are they going to be able to get it done there?
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Discussions are underway on how to stop a spate of vandalism incidents targeting a Wyler taxi service. The City Council holding a meeting with Des's cabs and local leaders this morning to discuss a solution.
We're all committed to working together to solve this really important issue that's causing concern to Des's cabs drivers.
It was a very open discussion about what's been happening, obviously, what our expectations are.
Ms Osborne says she's also arranged for local police to speak with drivers personally. Still to come tonight, Eyre Peninsula Football League set for a major restructure this season. And a Port Pirie school takes a stand and says no to bullying. Welcome back. The member for Barwon says lives are at risk because of mobile black spots in the far west. He says just 10% of money committed by the state government to solve the problem has actually been spent.
The far west left in the dark by mobile phone black spots. At a time when we're working from home and staying in touch online, Roy Butler says the bush has been left behind.
We're seeing the divide between regional New South Wales and the metro areas and the coast just grow bigger, while ever digital connectivity is not at the front of mind for government.
The member for Barwon saying it's not just about staying in touch, but in many cases, staying alive.
In 2021, we should be able to call for help from anywhere we are in New South Wales.
Mr Butler says he's written to Federal Communications Minister Paul Fletcher and the Deputy Premier, but he's not pleased by the response, saying it took more than 4 months to receive a reply from John Barilaro.
This is something that will be an election issue coming into the federal election and the state election.
Our questions to the Deputy Premier were passed on to the Department of Regional New South Wales. A spokesperson saying 6 new towers in the Barwon electorate provide coverage for 3,000 square kilometres, and the state government has committed more than $450 million to improve mobile coverage.
Satisfied that there's $400 million on the table. What I'm not satisfied with is that 2 years since that announcement, since the election, we've seen less than 10% of that money actually spent.
Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A reshuffle of Eyre Peninsula's football leagues has been given the tick of approval, following the shock exit of the Midwest Football League earlier this month. It brings a number of competitions left in the region to 4.
Back in the game after a regional shake-up.
I think it's just exciting that there's some opportunities out there now and there is some big changes. I mean, it's been a pretty turbulent and emotional 5 or 6 weeks.
Sandful holding crisis talks following Midwest's shock decision to shut down, leaving the Eyre Peninsula region with just 4 leagues.
Just numbers up there have been a bit of an issue for a while, and I think this change has come probably a bit quicker than we all expected.
A regional reshuffle of leagues now given the tick of approval by Sandful. The new layout will see Central Eyre merge with Woodner and join the Eastern Eyre Football League. Wirrala and the West Coast Hawks will move to Far West, with the league renamed to Western Eyre, and the Western Districts will form an alliance with Elliston and compete in Great Flinders.
The decision's finally been made. I think there's some genuine excitement and enthusiasm. I mean, clearly it's been a very emotional time.
Great Flinders will now have 7 teams competing this season. Organisers admit it's a hard slog for athletes travelling across the region for games, but says players are just happy the season will go ahead.
The ability to go have a season in front of them is driving that and that enthusiasm.
The football season will kick off next month. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Tomorrow marks National Bullying No Way Day, and Solomontown Primary School is busy preparing to mark it. Senior students have learnt the importance of taking action against bullying and helping educate younger pupils.
These students are preparing to take action at Bullying No Way Day tomorrow.
It's a day to stop bullies and to make sure that everyone knows what kinds of bullying there are.
Busy preparing for tomorrow's events, they'll undertake a range of activities to learn about the impacts.
We have a PowerPoint that we're going to do at assembly tomorrow, and we also will probably be doing some activities in class.
Making headbands, so they'll write symbols or words, moving in the opposite spirit to bullying, so, you know, the words of love, joy, peace, etc.
Students have spent the last few weeks learning about not only the types of bullying, but also being a bystander.
Joining in the bully, some bystanders stop the bullying happening and some bystanders go get an adult teacher or an adult.
Teachers say understanding, responding and preventing harassment is critical for children's development.
We try to address it as quickly and as effectively as we can. We take it very seriously. We have a zero tolerance to bullying here.
These senior students plan to further educate younger pupils on the topic.
Watching them and stopping them if they're getting bullied.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Port Augusta police officers go under the razor for a good cause. And Uniting Care Port Pirie farewells its CEO after 30 years service. A new survey will soon begin to determine whether there may be untapped minerals or groundwater on the Mundi Plains. Low-flying aircraft will use electromagnetic waves to look up to 400 metres beneath the ground. The project is funded by the state government and will begin next month. A similar survey in the Central West located gold, copper and zinc deposits. 9 Port Augusta police officers have today participated in the world's greatest shave in a bid to raise funds for leukemia. They're hoping this small act will have a big impact in the lives of people battling cancer.
Braving the shave to help beat blood cancer. Swapping their uniform for the superhero cape. These Port Augusta police officers are doing their part in raising funds and awareness for the Leukemia Foundation.
It's kind of liberating, like there's nothing left to worry about, and I'm so proud of everybody that's done this today, especially the girls and the boys as well, but yeah, it's really cool to be part of something bigger than us.
From losing long locks to shaving off their beards, even eyebrows. They say it's a small gesture to help improve the lives of people with cancer.
That's something that we have the privilege to be able to do. Like, we made a choice today to come together and raise money and awareness by shaving our heads. That's something that people who experience leukemia don't have a choice, so we're very lucky to be able to do this today.
Having surpassed their donation target, they say they couldn't be more grateful to the community for their support.
The fact that we raised over $15,500, which went well past our original goal of $10,000, was absolutely fantastic. I'd really like to say thank you to those members of the community who have supported us through this.
Fundraising is ongoing. It obviously doesn't finish now, so anyone that wishes to contribute, they can buy the information that's provided.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Great stuff. While as Uni SA students have been treated to their very first face-to-face lecture in more than a year, with COVID making students turn to the online world, the Uni's Dean of Research made the trip to the Steel City to discuss brain health.
In front of a captive audience, Professor Hillier answered the simple but complex question: how do we keep our brains healthy?
Campus here invited me up to come and talk about some of the things that we look at in terms of brain research.
A timely lecture after COVID forced the world to change.
People often ask me, it's one of the most common questions, is what's the effect of all this screen time on our brains? What's the effect on our kids' brains? You know, what does it mean? And really the jury's still out a little bit.
Working with head injuries for more than 35 years, Miss Hillier has a simple message.
I've got a clinical background and I work with people who have very unhealthy brains. So I'm very interested in talking to people about how about you keep your brain healthy in the first place.
With Whyalla home to one of the state's leading stroke units and more students undergoing their placements in the region, students believe lectures like this can be very insightful.
I'm really looking forward to finding out more about how the brain works and ways that I can incorporate that into my treatments.
Millie says her time in Whyalla has been very beneficial, allowing for more hands-on experience.
So I've just come on my 4-week placement to Whyalla from Adelaide, and I have enjoyed it so much. It's so different doing placement in the country than in the city.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
After 31 years working at Uniting Country in Port Pirie, Anthea Pavey will be retiring as Chief Executive. The last year being one of the most challenging yet, as she was determined to keep the doors open for those in a crisis.
This Uniting Country leader could be mistaken to be a part of the furniture. She spent 30 years with the charity, including 17 as its chief executive.
The people that I have met and the people that I've had the opportunity to work with have made this a wonderful experience.
Now retirement is in sight, a decision Anthea says was difficult to make.
A real tough decision, but I think it's the right time for me to move on to having a more relaxed life, and there'll be a new CE that comes in and we'll have new ideas and we'll take the organisation into the future.
It follows an extremely tough year for Uniting Country with a surge in the number of people needing support.
And we didn't close any of our service or close our doors at any time. We modified the way we did things, but we made sure that there was always a service there for clients, no matter where, what part of the region they were in.
We quickly got the team together and worked out how we can ensure that we continue to provide a service for the people in the country communities who are doing it really tough.
Devastated staff say there's big shoes to fill.
A culture of real positivity, so our staff will really miss her. Even though we do understand Anthea's reasons for needing to move on, there will be a lot of tears.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll check what's biting in the Spencer Gulf this weekend. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. With the weekend around the corner, it's time to check what's biting out in the Spencer Gulf. Here's our fishing experts with their tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta to Drill the North. Normally around this time of year, first squid start coming up, so if you try down around the bottom, down around Yatala Harbour and that, they should be starting coming in. And with that, probably the odd King George whiting as well. On the whiting front, the silver whiting being really big right over in the Flinders and really shallow water on these low tides, and also on the high tides on the shacks and that, and also around Port Patterson. There's been some really good flathead this year, and that still continues around those middle banks. There's been some kingfish getting sighted, and a couple landed down around the old powerhouse and also up around the railway bridge. That's all we have from the Drill of the North.
Welcome another week around the Gulf fishing tips from Port Pirie. It's just a fantastic time. We've been talking for the last couple of weeks about the crossover season that's going to happen. As we get closer to the end of March and into April, we'll have those squid coming around. But the top end of Ward Spit, as we've been saying, Third Creek patches. And if you go around to Port Davis, don't forget what we've been advising you over the last couple of weeks is to head out a bit further from the end of the channel and look around those deep white holes. You should be able to find a good feed of King George. Have a great weekend and be patient at the ramp.
Hi, Whalers fishing tips this week. Land-based has heated up on the local foreshore. Some nice big schools of silver whiting coming in. Most anglers hitting their limits, and also lots of salmon trout. Also, there's lots of salmon trout around the old iron ore jetty, so get in amongst those. If you are in Whyalla this weekend for the Unearth Festival, be sure to get around town, drop a line in. Great opportunity. Also, a great opportunity to jump on board Whyalla fishing charters and go see the local friendly dolphins.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, there has been a little bit of nice weather around in between the wind, and for those who got out on the water, there have been some nice fish caught. There's been some nice garfish and tommies caught around in Proper Bay and also off some rock locations in the Port Lincoln National Park. Squid have also been around in pretty good numbers over the past week in our local bays, and down at Fishery Bay there's been a nice school of salmon cruising around in the bay down there. Offshore news, there has been some tuna caught out at the Cabbage Patch. Well, that's all for Fishing Tips this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
And with a look at the latest weather forecast, here's Alex Sykes with the details.
Thanks, John. Good evening, everyone. Another classic autumn day in our region today, but that's set to change on the weekend. More on that later. From 3 p.m. today, sunny and 28 in Whale. It reached a max of 31 in Port Pirie, and Clare got to a high of 26 degrees. Looking further out, Port Augusta mostly sunny and 30. Port Lincoln and Broken Hill both cloudy and got to a max of 24. Kadina and Cleve both sunny and 28. Woodna mostly sunny and 31. Adelaide sunny and 29. Cooper Pedy had the region's top of 32 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, patchy cloud about far eastern SA. In a weak trough is only bringing the odd shower and possible storm. Bright high cloud over far western, far northern and eastern SA. Near troughs is not producing any rain. Clear skies elsewhere under a dominant ridge of high pressure. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. East to south easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 1 to 1.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell around 1 metre. Sunny conditions across most of the region. Port Lincoln 27 degrees, Cleve 28, Woodna forecast to reach a top of 32 degrees. Whale mostly sunny 29, Port Augusta and Kadina both forecast to reach a max of 31. Port Pirie mostly sunny 32, Clare and Broken Hill both mostly sunny 27 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, rain in Cooper Pedy on Saturday, a max of 27 degrees, cloudy across the rest of the region, Kadina, Adelaide and Woodna all set to top 30. Rainy and cloudy conditions in the Gulf on Sunday, showers in Cooper Pedy 25, similar conditions in Broken Hill 26, cloudy in Port Augusta, Woodna, Port Pirie and Whaler. And clearing up slightly on Monday, rain in Broken Hill, Port Pirie, Kadina and Adelaide, partly cloudy and 27 in both Cooper Pedy and Woodna. That's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you, John.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back at the special time of 6:30 tomorrow night. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.